Let's be honest. In today's world, with Instagram, dating apps, and constant social media, a woman can have more men chasing her in a single week than your grandfather saw in his entire youth. Think about that. You're not competing with just one guy anymore. You're up against an entire lineup. And in this game, being the nice guy isn't a strategy. It's a guaranteed ticket straight into the friend zone. Here's the hard truth most men don't want to face. Women don't choose the man who's simply good enough. They choose the man who makes them feel something they can't explain. The man who walks into the room and suddenly every other option seems invisible. So let me ask you, are you showing up as that man? Or are you just blending into the background, hoping she notices you? Because the truth is, attraction isn't about doing more, giving more, or begging for attention. It's about standing out in a way that feels undeniable. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. 9 timeless principles that shift you from being just one of many to the man she can't help but desire, the one she feels she has no choice but to choose.
Let me tell you something most men get wrong right from the start. They think that if they just open their hearts completely, share every detail of their lives, text her good morning and good night without fail, call her every evening, that somehow this constant flow of attention will win her over. But ask yourself honestly, has that ever worked? Or has it made her lose interest faster than you expected? Here's the reality. When you give a woman unlimited access to your emotions from day one, you kill the very thing that fuels attraction: mystery. And mystery isn't about playing games, it's about pacing. It's about letting her discover you in layers, step by step, instead of handing her the entire book on the first date. Think back to the times you were excited about someone new. It wasn't because they told you everything up front. It was because there was space to wonder. You found yourself asking, what are they doing? What's on their mind? When will I hear from them again? That anticipation, that little bit of uncertainty, is what keeps the spark alive. Now, I'm not saying you should be cold or distant. That's not strength, that's fear. What I am saying is this: your emotional energy is valuable. Not everyone deserves it right away. When you share too much too soon, she has nothing left to chase, nothing left to earn. But when you reveal yourself gradually, with intention, you create a sense of privilege. She begins to feel that being allowed into your emotional world is something rare, and people always value what's rare. So here's the question I want you to sit with. Are you giving your emotions away like free samples at a grocery store? Or are you making her work to earn the deeper parts of you? The men who pace themselves are the men who stay unforgettable.
One of the fastest ways a man loses his power in a relationship is by acting like she's his only chance at love, happiness, or connection. The moment a woman feels you've put your entire world on her shoulders, something shifts. She stops seeing you as the strong, grounded man she was drawn to and starts seeing you as someone clinging to her for air. And let's be honest, no one wants to feel like they're someone else's lifeline. Think about it. Have you ever met a man who seemed calm, confident, and unshaken, no matter who was or wasn't in his life? That kind of man doesn't act desperate because he knows he has options, not just in dating, but in friendships, work, passions, and community. He doesn't fall apart if one person leaves because his life is already full. That energy is magnetic. Now, here's the subtle shift. Women don't want a man who needs them to survive. They want a man who chooses them, even though he could choose someone else. That's the difference. When you come from a place of abundance, not desperation, You carry yourself differently. You're less reactive, less anxious, less afraid to walk away if respect is missing. I've seen this time and time again. A man who has no other options clings. He checks his phone every 5 minutes, panics if she takes too long to reply, rearranges his entire schedule just to see her. But the man with a life, friends, goals, a sense of purpose, doesn't crumble over a delayed text. He's busy building. And ironically, that's what makes her want him more. So here's the truth. Don't make her feel like she's the only card in your deck. Not because you're playing games, but because you're living a life that naturally gives you options. When she realizes you could be with others, but still choose her, that's when she values you most. Ask yourself this: if she walked away tomorrow, would your life collapse? Or would you keep moving forward, grounded and whole? Because the man who doesn't need her is the man she'll fight hardest to keep.
Let me tell you something most men struggle with. They stay even when they shouldn't. They stay when they're disrespected, undervalued, or treated like an afterthought. They convince themselves that holding on proves loyalty, but the truth is, it only proves weakness. Here's the reality. A man who cannot walk away has already surrendered his power, and women sense it instantly. If she knows you'll tolerate anything just to keep her, she has no reason to treat you better. Why would she? There's no consequence. A truly attractive man is not the one who begs, pleads, or compromises his standards to be liked. A truly attractive man is the one who knows his worth, sets boundaries, and enforces them, even if it means losing her. That's not coldness, that's self-respect, and self-respect is magnetic. Think about it. Have you ever admired someone who refused to settle? Someone who could look another person in the eye and calmly say, "I don't accept this. If it doesn't change, I'm gone." That kind of strength commands respect, and respect always comes before lasting attraction. The moment you're willing to walk away, something shifts. She realizes you're not afraid of being alone. You're not desperate. You're not tied to her approval for your sense of worth. And ironically, that's when she wants you most, because she knows you don't need her. You choose her. So here's the question every man must answer. If respect disappears, do you stay just to keep the peace? Or do you walk away to protect your dignity? Because the man who values himself first is always the man she values most.
Most men grow up believing the only way to win a woman is to chase her. Prove yourself, buy her things, rearrange your life so she sees you as worthy. But let's be honest, how often does that actually work? More often than not, the harder you chase, the faster she pulls away. Here's the shift. Women don't fall for the man who tries to convince them of his value. They fall for the man who already knows his value. The man who carries himself like the prize. Think about it. Luxury brands never beg people to buy their products. They don't send coupons to your mailbox. They stand firm in their worth, and people line up for them. Why? Because what's rare is respected. It's the same in relationships. When you stop trying to prove yourself and instead invite her into your world, everything changes. You're not chasing, you're offering. You might say, "I'm going to check out this art show Friday. Join me if you'd like." Notice the difference. You're not asking for permission.
You're giving her the chance to step into your life, your energy, your direction. This doesn't mean arrogance. It doesn't mean acting like you're above her. It means recognizing that your time, your presence, and your energy are valuable. They are not given freely to anyone who asks. They are earned. And when she feels that, she invests more deeply. She starts to wonder, what do I have to do to keep his attention? So ask yourself, are you chasing, proving, bending over backward? Or are you standing firm in your worth, letting her chase you? Because the man who acts like the prize is the one she can't resist. Here's a truth most men forget. The spark that draws a woman in isn't always what keeps her there. Attraction might get her attention, but it's your growth that makes her want to stay. Because no woman wants to build a future with a man who's standing still. Think about it. When was the last time you looked at yourself and asked, am I better than I was last year? Not just physically, but in every area of life. Your health, your career, your mindset, your relationships. The man who invests in himself, who sharpens his skills, who treats his body with respect, who builds his financial foundation, that man becomes harder and harder to replace. Why? Because he's always moving forward. He's never stagnant. I've seen men lose themselves the moment they get comfortable in a relationship. They stop growing. They stop striving. They think love will last forever on autopilot. But the truth is, when you stop leveling up, you stop being magnetic. Growth is the fuel that keeps attraction alive. And this isn't about competing with other men. It's about competing with yourself. The only question that matters is, am I further along today than I was yesterday? When the answer is yes, not only do women feel it, you feel it. Your confidence grows, your presence sharpens. You carry yourself like a man who has purpose, and that energy is irresistible. So don't just chase her, build yourself. Because the man who keeps evolving is the man no woman ever wants to lose. Here's a mistake almost every man has made at some point: being too available. Every time she texts, you reply within seconds. Every time she's free, you drop everything to make yourself free too. And while it feels like you're showing care and commitment, what you're really signaling is desperation. Let me put it this way. People value what's scarce, not what's always on tap. If you're constantly at her beck and call, she won't see your time as valuable. She'll see it as something anyone can have. And once that happens, attraction fades. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not telling you to play childish games, ignore her messages, or act distant for the sake of it. What I'm telling you is this: build a life so full, work, friendships, hobbies, goals, that you naturally don't have time to sit around waiting for her call. When you do give her your attention, it feels intentional, not automatic. Think about it. Which man is more attractive? The one who has nothing going on and is always waiting by the phone, or the one who's out there, living, moving, building, and makes space for her because she matters? The answer is obvious. So here's the shift. Stop giving her unlimited access. Make your presence mean something. When your time is scarce, it becomes valuable. And when it's valuable, she'll fight harder to earn it. Remember this: being too easy to reach doesn't make you look loyal. It makes you look replaceable.
The man who's selective with his time is always the man she respects most.
Let's be clear. Jealousy can destroy a relationship if it's toxic or intentional. But when it's subtle and natural, it can spark attraction like nothing else. Why? Because women are drawn to men that other women notice. It's human nature. If nobody else wants you, eventually she'll start asking herself why she does. Here's where most men go wrong. The moment they like a woman, they shut down their natural charm. They stop being social, stop interacting with other women, and put themselves on an invisible leash. That doesn't make her feel secure. It makes her question your value. You don't need to flirt in her face or disrespect her. That's weak. What you need is to live a life that naturally shows you're admired and respected. A smile to the waitress, a friendly conversation at a social event, a photo with friends having a great time. These are small signals that say, I'm a man who's valued by others. And trust me, she notices. Think of it this way. If she believes she's the only one who sees your worth, she'll start to take it for granted. But if she knows other people see it too, suddenly she's reminded that you're not just an option, you're a prize. That little spark of competition in her mind keeps her invested. So don't dim your light to make her feel comfortable. Keep living a full social life, because the man admired by many is the man a woman will fight hardest to keep.
Here's a truth most men don't want to face. If you can't control yourself, you can't lead yourself. And if you can't lead yourself, no one will want to follow you. A man who's constantly blowing up in anger, drowning in jealousy, or clinging for reassurance doesn't look strong. He looks unstable. And instability is the fastest way to kill attraction. Women don't want perfection. They don't expect you to never feel anger or jealousy or fear. What they crave is a man who can feel those emotions yet remain steady. The man who takes a breath before reacting. The man who doesn't let every mood dictate his actions. That kind of presence creates safety, and safety is the foundation of lasting desire. Think about the people you admire most, maybe a mentor, a coach, or even a leader from history. Were they the ones who panicked when things got tough, or were they the ones who stayed calm, grounded, collected, even in the storm? That calm energy is magnetic. It makes people trust you. It makes women lean in. So here's the challenge. Stop letting your emotions run the show. Feel them, but don't be controlled by them, because the man who masters his energy, who stays composed under pressure, is the man who carries true authority. And authority, not chaos, is what makes a woman want to stand by your side. Remember this. Attraction isn't built by the man who reacts to everything. It's built by the man who responds with strength. Be that man.
One of the biggest mistakes men make is stepping into the race they should never have joined. The moment you start comparing yourself to every other guy she's talking to, you've already lost. Why? Because comparison puts you beneath her decision. You're basically saying, I'm one of many, please pick me. And that's not how true attraction is built. Here's the truth. The most magnetic men are the ones who don't even acknowledge there's a race going on. While other guys are tripping over themselves to prove they're the funniest, the richest, or the most romantic, he's too busy living his life. His focus is on his mission, his growth, his world. And that's exactly what makes him stand out. Think about it. Scarcity creates desire. When she sees every other man chasing her, but you remain steady, focused, and unmoved, a question starts to form in her mind. What's different about him? Why isn't he like the rest? That curiosity is powerful. It plants the seed that maybe she should be the one chasing you. So stop running against other men. The moment you compete, you shrink. But the moment you step back, own your lane, and carry yourself like the prize, you become the man she can't ignore.
At the end of the day, attraction isn't about your bank account, your looks, or how many sweet words you can string together. Those things might catch attention for a moment, but they don't hold it. What truly makes you irresistible is how you carry yourself, the way you respect yourself, the standards you live by, and the quiet confidence you project every time you walk into a room. Here's the truth. Women will always have options. That's the world we live in now. But they only fight to keep the man who doesn't need them to survive. The man who chooses them because he wants to, not because he's desperate for approval. That's the difference between being replaceable and being unforgettable. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever found yourself competing for a woman's attention? Or maybe you gave too much too soon, and she ended up taking you for granted? Share your story in the comments. I read them, I respond to them, and who knows, I might even pick one to break down in a future video. And before you go, don't miss what's coming next. In the next video, I'm going to reveal the single biggest sign that she's about to replace you, and how to flip the situation before it's too late. Trust me, you'll want to see this. So hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because the men who win aren't the ones chasing, they're the ones leading. And if you're here, it's time for you to lead.